We have Hong Kong students, we have students from the mainland, we have students from the rest of Asia, from Europe, Australia, United States, and Canada. And so it's quite a varied background here. What I wanted to do is start first by talking a bit about your experiences in government. Because I wanted to give them an insight into the dynamics of the relationship between Hong Kong and the mainland. In particular, for example, you're one of the very few people who's really gone from being a civil servant to being a policy secretary, a minister in government, if you will, to being a member of civil society, and now to being an active politician.
First of all, good morning to all of you boys and girls and the more senior gentlemen at the back. I'm delighted to be here. Delighted to be here. If I could respond to your question in a more historical and comparative context, you know, our Hong Kong's relationship with its sovereign power, going back to the colonial days. I always had a lot to deal with our sovereign power by virtue of my postings. I was in the security branch in the 80s. After the reunification, my postings also involve a lot of matters to do with the sovereign power, again, nationality, travel documents, and all that. In my previous positions, you need to be able to communicate not only with Beijing, but also the nearby provinces and cities with which we have a lot of dealings, you know, cross-boundary anti-crime cooperation. What I have learned is, if you want to have a successful negotiation, and I'm sure Hong Kong U teaches negotiation and intervention, you know, I've done one such course at Stanford Business School. Getting to yes, you know, you need to have empathy. You need to be able to see other people's points. Promoted by the British authorities until the last 20 years of British rule. In the 60s and 70s, the keynote was the equivalent of harmonious society. You remember there were riots in the 60s, 66 and 67.
Star Ferry.
Yeah. Star Ferry and the spillover of Cultural Revolution, you know. And then how did the government respond? The Hong Kong government did not respond by promoting democracy. The government responded by instituting the city district officer system. The way the chief executive, current chief executive, has been running his government, I think he's learned a lot from it too. You know, because in 2003, we were only 1 year into the ministerial system. You know, people like us, I started as a career public servant. I had no political training to boast of. I had no media or political training. The rapid change in public sentiments. We didn't do enough to win over public support, and we were not able to win over the media. Typical colonial setup is organized on functional lines. And civil servants, being good civil servants, we were trained not to mind other people's business.